Inispo here. So I'm going to start putting this this together. So here's my motherboard, and I'm going to put in the CPU. This is from the underside. You can kind of see. Yeah, looks like everything is running. And we are at the BIOS. That is one heavy machine. But I think we are done, and this is where I will install the operating system. Hey everyone, so this is my small rig build. Decided to name this one Tyche. There's my 3080, and it's the ASUS Strix. There is my U12A, and that fits into this case. And the memory I swapped out, that's 64 gigs of DDR4 memory right there. And this is kind of how I ended up kind of piecing everything together. Let me close up everything and then show you what it looks like when it's all closed and finished. Alright, so this is the Tyche build. Everything's enclosed. The antenna is right there. You can kind of see on the back here. Just connecting the antenna. And one thing to note is this case does fit this U12A. Interestingly, there's just enough gap to be able to put the fan kind of right up against the cage here. The other thing that I ended up finding out was that not only did I have to make that memory change, I decided to take these fans out of it. These are actually the industrial fans from Noctua, and they just are a little bit too noisy, so I wanted more of a silent build. I may end up replacing the fans up at the top with something that's a little bit more silent if I need the airflow. Usually though, if I really need to get the air circulating, I'll probably just pop off the sides here and then kind of do that, and then just kind of take this off and then just kind of vent. But I did have the fans up there at one point, decided to remove them, so I think that's probably the only significant change other than the memory, deciding to go with the 64 gigs. Alright, so first things first, so you can see here the changes. One thing I needed to do was change out my memory. I have this 64 gigs of memory. It's that Trident Z Royal kit. One of the things that I found was just setting it to XMP does not work. It won't run at the 4000 megahertz, and I think it's more to do with either the motherboard or the CPU. My guess is maybe it's the CPU. And then one of the things I did was lower the clock to 3600 megahertz. I ran a full test of mem test, and then the other thing is I undervolted it, so I went down to 1.35 volts, and this was pretty stable. Was able to run without any problems with this. The other thing that I noticed was that I had to upgrade the BIOS, so I went to the Easy Flash utility right here, and you can see the version. I have this 0605 version of the BIOS that I flashed onto this motherboard. I found out that the version I had previously First off, the 5,333 megahertz memory was not able to be really recognized and couldn't load. So that was one thing. The other thing that I had to change was the, let's see here, I think if you go to Advanced and you go to PCH, FW, configuration, you select this to enable, and this will set the TPM 2.0 to activate it. This is within the Intel CPU, I believe. So if you do that, then you can install Windows 11. And then I was able to run memtest and use the memtest that came with the BIOS. Yeah, I guess I can show it real quick. You can see how it kind of loads memtest from the BIOS, which is kind of a neat feature. Normally, I end up putting this on the hard drive or a thumb drive, but you can run memtest and then kind of check the memory. I realized that with the 533 megahertz memory, I was not able to run stable at that frequency. I was able to run this at the 64 gigs at 3,600 megahertz. So I'll just kind of I guess end this and exit out. But you can kind of see how that works, and what'll happen is that it'll run memtest. I ran the full memtest, all 4 passes, and things were successful here. So, and then I installed Windows, and after installing Windows, kind of the first things that you end up seeing is Armory Crate will start up, or if you have to set up the network shortly afterwards, then Armory Crate will load. I can show you that. And Armory Crate is kind of the software for the motherboard. Let's see here, Armory Crate. Okay, and then what I did was actually this, after installing this is actually what prompted me to tell me that I had a BIOS update. So I decided to go and get that BIOS update. But I guess one of the other features, you can see here, you can do some setups of various drivers and such. But if you go to BIOS, here you can actually do the download. Yeah, and then the other tools to install, or let me show you, I guess, another thing here. So with Armory Crate, you can actually set, you can set the, I believe, like the colors and such. Let me see if I can load that. So it's called AuroSync, and let's see here. You can set it to be static, or let's see here. You can go dark and turn off all the lights. So that's what I decided to do. I really don't like too much of the red, green, blue. Okay, and then afterwards, I installed the GPU Tweak 2 software. So here you can go ahead and modify your GPU's boost clock and memory and fans and all sorts of other settings here. So pretty useful tool. I think that's about it. Those were kind of the major hurdles that I faced. I think what I'm going to do is probably install some other software here, do a quick benchmark of the SSD, and then afterwards I might swap out the other SSD just to get a sense of a baseline of how fast this SSD performs compared to the Western Digital SN850, the Western Digital Black SSD, and then make a decision which one I want to keep. All right, thanks. Peace out.